I've seen videos similar to this. We all know that Americans have poor quality food compared to the rest of the world. I didn't know anything about this bliss point and the science behind it and everything else. Like that's crazy. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we're checking out a video called Why American Food is Banned in Europe. I got this from my suggestion form from I don't know because your name's not there, but they want me to check it out. It says it's about the chemicals in American food, and I've seen similar videos to this. I have not seen this one, so this one's going to be by the channel Plain Capital. I don't think I've even heard of that channel before, to be honest with you. So anyways, hit like on the original video. There's a link down in the description section for that. Thanks for the suggestion, whoever it was that suggested it. And thank you for watching it with me, guys. Let's check it out. I'm curious really about this because I chose it because I have all these on my list, right? And I pick and choose, you know, which one am I feeling like reacting to today? The food one popped up. We're going to Europe soon. We're going to be free from American food chemicals for 2 weeks straight while we're out of the country. So I'm excited to see how better my body's going to feel without being exposed to these chemicals and stuff. But yeah, so we're going to find out how bad they really are. We all know they're there, but we're going to get into it.
McDonald's operates in 118 countries. In the UK, their burger bun has about a dozen ingredients. But in the US, the same bun has over 25. And up until 2016, one of those ingredients was a dough conditioner that's also used to manufacture yoga mats and shoes. And
yeah. There's that. Yeah. Yum.
Mats and shoes. And the CEO of McDonald's just went viral recently, eating one of these burgers on camera, calling it the product the entire time. Not the burger, not the food, the product. And honestly, that might be the most accurate description of American food right now, because there are over 3,000 additives approved in the US that are restricted or banned in other developed countries. And every single one of them got there through a regulatory loophole that was created in 1958 and hasn't been meaningfully updated since. So the question isn't whether these companies can make food without these chemicals. They make cleaner versions of the same products for every other country they sell in. The question is why they choose not to do it here.
Well, you know, I think a lot of it is because money. You know, they can make their products last longer if they put chemicals in there. So they can store it in their warehouses, stuff like that. There's less products going bad, less waste on their end, etc. It's all money, guys. It all boils down to money, because like he pointed out, you absolutely can do all these things in all these other countries without the chemicals, because that's what they're doing. They're proving it all the time. They're doing stuff. They're making chips or crisps, whatever you call it. And, you know, they're making buns. You guys have buns at McDonald's over there. I'm sure they're holding up your hamburger patties just fine, right? You don't need yoga mat or shoe ingredients in your buns to make a good hamburger. In fact, it's probably better to not have that. Is probably preferred to then actually have a good hamburger without the chemicals, right? Explained.
To understand how this works, let's forget about the history for a second and just follow a product. Let's say a food company develops a brand new chemical, never been tested, never been reviewed, and they want it in a box of cereal by next month.
In the United States, they say, oh yeah, you can do that because we haven't proved that it's harmful. Right? Yeah.
Let's call it Compound X. Here's what happens. The company would hire a panel of scientists to review the safety data on Compound X. Many of these scientists have financial ties to the company paying them. And every single time they reach the same conclusion. Compound X is generally recognized as safe, or GRAS. That GRAS label is so important because it's basically a golden ticket. Any ingredient that gets classified as GRAS is completely exempt from the FDA's normal approval process. No safety review, no testing requirements, no waiting period. It skips the entire line.
What we have seen over time is that companies are creating new ingredients, having their own scientists or hiring outside scientists to make their own determinations that an ingredient is safe. And then once they self-declare that their ingredient is safe, they don't have to go through that pre-market process.
I don't even understand, why is this a fucking loophole in the first place? What is going on? Generally regarded as safe, but yet you didn't FDA pre-market approval, whatever, right? You didn't do that part. Like, how does that skip the line? Like, this isn't a VIP pass at a fucking theme park, guys. This is health. This is food. This is people's safety and lives at risk here. This is insanity. What the, right?
The FDA created this designation in 1958. And it was originally meant to cover things like salt, vinegar, and baking soda, stuff nobody needed to test because humans had been eating it for centuries.
Yeah. And so that's the loophole. Okay, close the loophole. It's been how long?
But by the 1990s, the FDA had a problem. You see, as food became more and more industrialized, hundreds of companies were submitting applications to try to get that golden ticket for the new ingredients they were using. And the agency didn't have the budget or the staff to review them all. The backlog was so long that it would take years to clear. So in 1997, under pressure from the Clinton administration's push to cut costs and speed up federal agencies, the FDA made a decision that changed everything.
There was an announcement today by the Food and Drug Administration. Bettina Gregory has the story.
Instead of requiring companies to submit their safety data for review, they made the whole process voluntary. That means the company doesn't have to submit its determination to the FDA. It doesn't have to share the safety data. It doesn't even have to tell the FDA that compound X exists. It can just start putting it in food and shipping it to stores. Think about that for a second. That's like a student grading their own exam and the teacher saying, "You don't even have to show me the test. I'll just take your word for it." And this isn't a hypothetical edge case.
Why? That makes no sense. Like, what? What is going on? Like, seriously.
According to a 2022 analysis, companies have used this system to self-approve nearly 99% of new food chemicals since the year 2000. The Pew Research Center estimated in 2013 that roughly 1,000 ingredients had entered the food supply through this pathway without the FDA even knowing about them. The FDA's own former deputy commissioner for food admitted in 2014 that we simply do not have the information to vouch for the safety of many of these chemicals. So the system that was designed in 1958 to exempt salt and vinegar from paperwork is now the primary pathway that the entire food industry uses to put new chemicals into your food without any oversight. And this is where you start to see why the same food tastes different depending on which country you buy it in.
I'm gonna find out for myself. Some stuff, guys, I have tasted some stuff from other countries and compared it to the exact same equivalent product that we have here, like the nacho cheese Doritos, right? I've had those from Europe. I've had them from here. The Cool Ranch Doritos, you guys call them like Cool American flavor, right? The ones in the blue bag, really nice. They're different. Toblerones from Europe, right? Toblerones from the United States. They're different because of the chemicals. That's a whole thing. You can watch. It was years back. You can look on my channel, but I have a few videos where I compare stuff, and I'm super excited for when we get to the Netherlands to be able to taste the differences and what it is. You know, the stuff that we have here that's also there. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait.
Take a mac and cheese from Kraft, for example. For decades, the US version got its color from something called Yellow 5 and Yellow 6. They are synthetic dyes derived from petroleum. But the UK version used something way healthier. They use paprika extract and beta-carotene, which is an orange pigment naturally found in carrots.
Right, that makes sense. Why wouldn't you just do that? Instead, oh yeah, because the chemical, you can just whip it up in a lab and it's super cheap and this and that. But it's like, come on. We're getting bright colors, but like at what expense, right? And sorry, I got like I got a tickle in my throat or something. I'm trying to drink a drink of coffee to make it go away, but oh, my eye feels like it's trying to water, guys.
Not because Kraft can't make it without the artificial dyes in the UK. It's because in Europe, yellow 5 and yellow 6 dyes requires a mandatory warning label that reads, may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. Rather than putting a warning on the box, Kraft just formulated for the European market. But in the US, no warning is required, so the artificial version stays on the shelf. Another good example is the pop.
In the US, the artificial version stays on the shelf. There's just no warning, right? Yeah. That's another thing that's nice about Europe is like, they put on their labels how far off from natural it is, like how unsafe it is for your body, that sort of thing. That's really nice. It's just on like a scale of like, it's not a scale of 1 to 10, but like basically a scale of 1 to 10. Unhealthy, healthy, where's it at in the middle? It's a visual indicator. It's nice.
Drink Mountain Dew. It contains brominated vegetable oil in America, a pretty bad oil for your heart, but not in Europe or Japan because they're banned in those countries. Bread products across dozens of American brands contain potassium bromate, a dose strengthener banned in Canada, the UK, the EU, China, and Brazil because research linked it to kidney damage and cancer in animal studies.
See, and this is the part where it pisses me off because my sister died from kidney failure. And it's like, I can't blame it on the bread. I don't know, but this chemical is linked to kidney damage. I don't like that.
California banned it in 2023, but at the federal level, it's still approved, which means a chemical that most of the developed world considers unsafe is sitting in the bread aisle of grocery stores in 46 out of 50 American states.
And it's probably in my kitchen right now.
None of these companies are being forced to use these ingredients. They're making a financial calculation that using cheaper inputs in the American market is worth it because the regulatory system doesn't penalize them for doing so.
And that's why money is the root of all evil, guys. One of them.
The US operates on an innocent until proven guilty standard, where an ingredient is assumed safe until enough evidence accumulates over years or decades to
Yeah, and that's unsafe. That's not the way you should do it, like at all. Like that's not the way to do it, guys. It's not.
Prove it's harmful. Europe uses the precautionary principle, which flips the logic. If there is uncertainty, a new ingredient doesn't get approved until the manufacturer can scientifically prove it's safe. And America hasn't switched to the European model for one straightforward reason.
Because Americans are like too much in their pride and like just stuck in the ways. Just
Both sides benefit from keeping it the way it is. For the FDA, reviewing every new additives would take years per ingredient and require a budget that they don't have.
Okay, stop spending money dropping bombs on motherfuckers and shit. There you go. There's your budget. I'm just saying. Jesus Christ.
For the food companies, it's even simpler. Why spend millions on independent safety testing and wait 2 years for FDA approval when you can pay a fraction of that to certify food safety yourself? Back in 2010, when one company was questioned by the FDA about the safety of an ingredient called theobromine, they simply withdrew their voluntary notification.
Hold on. I want to read what it says, guy. Come on, give me a second here. Let's go back. Let's check it out. So a company determined it's safe for use in bread, cereal, beverages, chewing gum, tea, soy milk, gelatin, candy, and yogurt, and fruit smoothies, despite FDA's question about the estimated consumption being 5 times higher than the safe consumption level reported by the company. Interesting, yeah.
Notification, hired an independent contractor to declare it safe anyway, and kept using it. The FDA had no mechanism to stop them. The agency can't afford to enforce stricter rules, and the industry has no financial reason to follow them. That's how a loophole stays open for almost 7 decades. The GRAS loophole is basically a multi-billion-dollar subsidy for whoever can exploit it most creatively. And the companies exploiting it the best are the ones you've never heard of.
Who are they?
Go to your kitchen right now and pick up the first packaged food you see. Could be a bag of Doritos, a can of Coca-Cola, a cup of yogurt, or a box of Cheerios.
Literally the closest packaged food I have to me right now is from the Netherlands. I got a bag of Dutch drop over there. I did have a chocolate covered crude note and bag over here, but I took it to the kitchen. That's also from the Netherlands. I don't have American snacks in this room. I got these. Not American. They're Dutch. And they don't have a label on them. Oh, wait, yeah, it does. But it ain't going to have that. There's a Schoenblocken. I don't even know if you can read it. It's good stuff, though.
Flip it over and look at the ingredient list. Somewhere on there, you are almost guaranteed to see two words: natural flavors. That phrase is doing a lot of work because in most cases, the formulation behind those two words wasn't created by the brand on the front of the box. There are three major firms that engineer the flavors in almost everything Americans eat. The food brands hire them the way a restaurant hires a chef, except these chefs serve 300 million people and nobody knows their name. The biggest is a Swiss company called Givaudan. The second is an American company called IFF, which stands for International Flavors and Fragrances. And the third is another Swiss firm called Firmenich. Together, they control over 55% of a market worth over $40 billion a year. Givaudan.
That's crazy. Sorry, guys. I get like tickle in my throat. Somehow that made it worse. I'm telling you what. I'm struggling over here.
Alone holds roughly a quarter of the global market and offers over 2,200 different strawberry flavors in its category. Not 22, not 220, over 2,200 variations of a single fruit flavor.
That's
Each
crazy.
one optimized for a different product and a different consumer base. IFF purchases roughly.
And that's the thing, is that that's all different variations of just like chemicals. That's not good. That's not good. That's not safe, guys. What are we doing here?
8,500 raw materials from 2,300 suppliers worldwide, blending them into proprietary compounds that get licensed to the brands you see on the shelf. And every single one of those formulations is legally classified as a trade secret. So when you read natural flavors on the label, you're looking at a formula that could contain dozens of individual chemical compounds, solvents, and preservatives, none of which have been disclosed because trade secret law overrides ingredient transparency laws in the US.
And all those chemicals is probably what's giving me that tickle in my throat.
Here's why the secrecy matters so much to them. These formulations aren't just about making food taste good. They're engineered to make you eat more.
Really?
Food scientists call it the bliss point, the precise combination of sugar, salt, and fat that triggers the strongest craving response without ever making you feel fully satisfied. It's why you can eat an entire bag of chips without feeling full, the same way you would after a home-cooked meal.
I used to think it was because I had a bottomless pit in my stomach when I was younger, and I just eating a bunch of chips and stuff.
Your body isn't registering food the same way because the formulation was specifically designed to bypass your satiety signal, the part of your brain that's supposed to tell you, okay, you're full, stop eating. And the bliss point isn't a general target. It's calculated down to the milligram for each individual product. Researchers have found that there is a specific concentration of sugar where the craving response peaks. And if you go even slightly above that concentration, the product starts to taste too sweet, and people would eat less of it. So the flavor company aren't just making food taste good, they're finding the exact mathematical ceiling of how much pleasure your brain can process before it tells you to stop. And then they're parking the formula right below that line. That's why you reach the bottom of the bag and think, I didn't even realize I was still eating. That was the design working as intended. And the reason these companies guard these calculations so aggressively is because getting the bliss point right on a single product can be worth hundreds of millions of dollars in annual sales. Ultra-processed foods built on these formulations now make up nearly 60% of the average American adult's diet. And the number has been climbing up for decades.
You know, that's crazy. I've seen, like I said in the beginning of the reaction, right? I've seen videos similar to this. We all know that Americans have poor quality food compared to the rest of the world. I didn't know anything about this bliss point and the science behind it and everything else. Like that's crazy. That actually makes me that much more genuinely curious about how much better I'm going to feel in the Netherlands 2 weeks with no American crap. is it gonna really be that, you know, like after my body, like after a week or so into it, you know, like is my body gonna be like reacting a different way to food? Like that's interesting.
And studies are now linking high ultra-processed food consumption to increased rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive decline. But the
And that's all. That's a lot of the problems that plague a lot of people here in America. So yeah, this makes total sense.
FDA has no regulatory category for ultra-processed. This means the fastest growing segment of the American diet exists in a complete regulatory blind spot. But the good news is that the FDA was directed in 2025 to explore closing the GRAS self-affirmation loophole. But the rulemaking usually takes years, and the food industry will lobby against any changes that increase their costs.
Yeah, they
and
will.
thousands of FDA scientists were fired in April 2025 due to cost-cutting measures. It means the agency now has even fewer resources to enforce the rules it already has. If you want to protect yourself today, here's something you can do the next time you're at the grocery store. Before you put something in your cart, flip it over and count ingredients. If the list has more than 5 ingredients you can't pronounce or wouldn't find in home kitchen, just put it back.
Well, then I would starve. No, obviously fresh fruits and vegetables. That's all I'd be eating then. Dang. I guess I'd be healthier though.
If natural flavors appear in the first 5 ingredients, the product is more engineered than you think. And if you really want to know whether what you're buying is safe, check if the same product exists in the European version. If the European label is shorter, you know that the American version contains things that at least one developed countries decided weren't worth the risk. I'm curious to know what you think about ultra-processed food, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. If
You know, that's the thing is I've seen the list in the past. I was talking about it earlier. Toblerones, right? Ingredients list in Europe way shorter than the ones here. Same thing with all of them. The Doritos, the Skittles, what else was it? I don't even know. I don't even know what it was. It was just a lot of stuff. And it's just crazy. Like I'm so curious, like how am I going to feel? How are we all going to, not just me, Amy, Trevor, you know, are we going to feel better, less sluggish, more energetic, more chipper, less depressed, just, you know, because just being healthier, you know, and then of course the extra walking around, the extra exercise is going to benefit us, of course, and being out in the sun and just, you know, it's going to be insane, guys. I can't wait. 2 weeks, American food free. Only food that's going in this belly for 2 weeks is going to be European food. It's going to be exciting. So anyways, if you guys want to check that out, hit the notification bell if you didn't already do that. That way you get a notification when I make these videos. And thanks for watching this one. Like and subscribe. Hit the hype thing if you can. If you're on the mobile, there's a hype thing. That's pretty cool. And you guys have a super fun, awesome day. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye.